Hi guys, welcome back to Wentworth Life, the YouTube channel that talks everything Wentworth. So, okay guys, this is going to be the final part of my Season 8 Theories series. I'm glad you've been enjoying it. Sorry it's taking a bit longer than I anticipated, but this is going to be quite a big part because it is the final part and a lot happens. But yeah, I really hope you enjoy it, guys. Let me know in the comments box below what you think towards the end. And I'm going to jump straight in because, like I said, this is going to be quite a big part. So here we go. A storm cloud covers Wentworth. Ferguson, now back as governor, is putting her strict rules into force. All the women's cells are stripped back to basics. Televisions and radios are removed from the wings and privileges are cancelled. Ferguson is determined to make all the women's lives hell. Pressure is mounting for top dog Rita, as the women want Rita to do something about Ferguson. Rita goes to visit the governor, and demands that she gives the women a break. Ferguson is not playing ball, and instead, Ferguson tells Rita that she wants her and the women to obey to every rule with no trouble. Rita point blank refuses and tells Ferguson that if she continues to push her and the women, then she may live to regret it. Ferguson stands up and reminds Rita that Ruby is now on the outside and very vulnerable. Rita also stands up and tells Ferguson that if anything happens to Ruby, then she will pay. The pair stare into each other's menacing eyes. Ferguson reminds Rita about the previous top dog B. Smith, telling her that it would be a shame if things ended the same way. Rita asks Ferguson is that a threat, and Ferguson replies that it's not a threat, it's just a reminder of what will happen if you don't play by my rules in my prison. Ferguson then goes on to say that she is untouchable now, and she will use extreme force against any woman who crosses her. Rita reminds Ferguson that she once beat a prisoner to death who was threatening Ruby. Ferguson tells Rita that if she wants to start a war, then she better be ready. Rita stares at Ferguson one last time and then leaves the office. Rita goes straight to the phones to ring Ruby, but finds that all the phones have been cut off. Mr. Jackson walks past and Rita asks him why have all the phones been cut, and he tells her that the phones have been cut by the governor. Rita goes to find Miss Bennett and tells her that she needs a mobile phone. Vera asks why do you need a mobile phone, and Rita tells her that Ferguson is threatening to do something to Ruby and wants to warn her to be careful. Vera, knowing how dangerous Ferguson is, agrees to get Rita a mobile phone. Ali is on tenterhooks, constantly looking over her shoulder to make sure that crazy Dr. Peterson is nowhere to be seen. Despite everything that's happening in the prison, Boomer is enjoying the pregnant life. Reb goes to see her brother Dr. Miller, and she tells him that she overheard the conversation between him and Boomer about the baby. She tells him that she wants him to get a copy of some keys of the prison, otherwise she is going to Ferguson and telling her everything. Dr. Miller tells Reb that she is crazy and asks her why does she want the keys. Reb tells him that she wants out of Wentworth, and with all the money from the armed robbery that she did hidden on the outside, she needs to get to it before someone finds it. Dr. Miller reluctantly agrees. Anne Reynolds tells Ferguson that she has to go out of town for important meetings for a couple of days, and tells Ferguson to make sure that there is no trouble in the prison while she is gone. Ferguson calls a meeting with the women in the dining room. She informs them that security is going to be increased even tighter, and there is going to be an early curfew. She then asks to see Frankie and Bridget together in her office. Ferguson tells the both of them that she is going to split them both apart, and that Bridget is going to be transferred to a country prison as soon as a slot is available. Frankie goes mad and tells Ferguson that she cannot do this. Bridget tries to calm Frankie down and tells her look, it's okay, but Frankie is not happy. Ferguson calls Mr. Jackson and Miss Mads into the office and gets them to take Frankie and Bridget back to the cells. Frankie is livid. Frankie tells Rita that something needs to be done. Vera and Will are also very unhappy with the way Ferguson is running things. Vera tells Will that they should call a union meeting to try and get something done while Anne Reynolds is away. Later, Vera gives Rita the mobile phone. Rita thanks Vera and makes the phone call to Ruby, telling Ruby to be careful as there is a dangerous screw in the prison threatening her. It might be a bluff, but just have your wits about you. Parker makes a request to see Ferguson, but Ferguson denies seeing her. Parker cannot believe that Ferguson played her like a puppet. Dr. Miller manages to get some keys copied, and he delivers them to Reb. Reb asks Dr. Miller for a fake passport. He says that he wouldn't even know where to start to find one, but she gives him a name that he can go to. She tells him to be as quick as possible as she doesn't want to stay in Wentworth a moment longer. Ferguson asks to see Kate Peterson. Ferguson wants to know what Kate's problem was with Ali. So Kate tells Ferguson that Ali is the scumbag who killed her son a few months ago. Ferguson then tells Kate that Ali is nothing but a disgusting drug addict, and the world would be a better place without her. Ferguson decides to arrange for Kate Peterson to stay in the same unit as Ali, and the pair of them exchange evil smirks. Kate thanks Ferguson and even tells her that she thinks the pair of them are going to get on very well. Ferguson says that it's not a problem and that you do what needs to be done. Kate is moved into Ali's unit and Ali is horrified. Rita tells Kate to keep her distance from Ali, and Kate says that she doesn't want any trouble. Vera goes to Ferguson and says that Kate Peterson cannot be in the same unit as Ali. Ferguson just dismisses Vera and tells her to get out of her office. Ruby is heading out for a job interview, but as she's crossing a road, a car drives at her and nearly misses her literally by inches and is thrown back into the grass. Slightly panicked, she phones Rita and tells her what has just happened. Rita sees red and heads straight for Ferguson's office, but bumps into Vera on the way over. Vera asks Rita what is wrong, and Rita tells Vera that Ferguson just tried to organise a hit and run on Ruby. Vera shares her concern with Rita that everyone is in danger right now. Vera tells Rita that they need to work together to get rid of Ferguson, but they need to be careful. The pair of them come up with a plan. Vera tells Rita that she has planned to call a union meeting with all staff members, demanding that they hold a full strike until Ferguson is sacked. She then goes on to say that the minute all the officers walk out, the women will be locked away, and it will take the department to approximately 24 hours to get temporary officers and officials down to Wentworth. That means whatever happens in that 24 hours is up to the women. Ferguson will be on her own in the prison. The officers will be out on strike. Rita asks Vera what is she implying. Vera tells Rita that the women will have 24 hours to do whatever they need to do to get rid of Ferguson. With no other officers in the building, there will be no risk to them, and no witnesses to anything that may or may not happen. Just make sure that you guys come up with a plan quickly for when we do the walkout. Rita asks Vera why is she doing this. It goes against anything that Vera stands for. Vera replies in saying that Ferguson has destroyed a lot of people's lives, including her own and Jake's. Rita grabs Vera's hand and they shake on it. Rita calls a meeting with the women in the laundry and tells them what is going to happen. The women all agree, but they also want to know what is actually going to happen when the screws walk out. But before Rita goes on, she wants to know that all the women agree to her plan. Everyone agrees, even Cass Parker agrees, even Kate Peterson agrees. The only person Rita is waiting on is Reb Keane. Reb walks over to Rita and she grabs Rita by the hand and says that she is also in. She cannot stand screws or cops, and the fact that Ferguson is making their lives hell, Reb is up for the plan. Rita tells the girls that they're going to need to try and get their hands on a set of keys quickly. Reb turns around and tells Rita that she already has some. Rita is impressed. So Reb tells Rita that she's planning to escape, so she wants help from her if needed when the time comes, and Rita agrees. The next part of the plan Rita wants to work out is how are they going to get to Ferguson and how are they going to keep her under control. Rita is a strong person who can look after herself, but so is Ferguson, and she doesn't want anybody getting hurt. Frankie tells Rita that Ferguson is scared of germs, and if you can get a syringe of someone's blood with hepatitis, you will be able to get Ferguson to do whatever you want and she will cry like a baby. Reb goes to get the keys for Rita and hands them over. The pair shake hands again just as Ferguson walks around the corner. Ferguson asks the pair of them what is going on, and Rita tells Ferguson that they are now best mates. And she then goes up to Ferguson and says bad luck about the hit and run, and the pair walk off. Ferguson does not look happy. Vera calls all the officers for the meeting. She tells all the officers her concerns about Ferguson, and all the officers agree that none of them want to work for her, but they feel powerless. Vera explains to them that with all the unions backing, they can all stage a walkout and go on strike until the department gets rid of Ferguson. Everyone votes and it's unanimous. The strike is going ahead with immediate effect. Vera and Will both go to see Ferguson in her office, and they tell her that they are all out on strike, while all the rest of the other officers escort the women back to their cells for lockdown. The officers leave the prison while Ferguson watches from her window. She informs the department about the strike, and just as Vera told Rita, reinforcements won't be able to be sorted out until the morning. Ferguson has a long, lonely night ahead of her in the prison. What could possibly go wrong? Ferguson goes to speak to Reb. She tells Reb that she will strike a deal with her. She tells Reb that she wants Rita knocked off her top dog perch. Reb tells her no way, she's not interested in being top dog, and thinks Rita is doing a fantastic job. Rita then whispers to Reb that Rita is a cop, and that you have a spy in your ranks. Reb tells Ferguson that she's just making it up, but Ferguson pulls out a file from underneath her suit and shows Reb that it's in the file. Rita Connors is an undercover cop. Your top dog is a cop. Reb's mouth drops open. Ferguson asks Reb, now will you do it? Reb turns around and smashes her glass while Ferguson walks away with a smile on her face. Reb hates the police and she hates the screws. She literally cannot believe what she has just discovered. With the planned attack on Ferguson all set, what will Reb's next move be? As nighttime arrives on the prison, the plan is all set. The women have a syringe of blood. Rita has the keys and she opens the gates. Rita goes around the prison and slowly starts unlocking all the blocks, avoiding the cameras as best as she can. Rita tells a pregnant Boomer to stay in her cell and out of the way, and Bridget stays behind to look after Boomer, but tells Frankie to be careful. Rita, Reb, Frankie and Parker head up to Ferguson's office. Ferguson is on her laptop, clicking her pen over and over again. She's receiving a phone call from Anne Reynolds, and Anne tells Ferguson that the department have been in touch with her about the strike and that she will be back to the prison in the morning. They hang up on each other, and then Ferguson is grabbed from behind by Rita. Rita slams Ferguson into the governor's chair, with Frankie holding the syringe of blood to Ferguson's throat. Rita tells Ferguson that she's coming with them. Ferguson asks where is she going, and Rita tells her that the women have organised a big surprise for her. They bring Ferguson down to the dining room, and Ferguson is tied up. The women cheer for Rita, with a very unhappy look on Reb's face. Rita tells Ferguson that she has crossed the line with everyone, and now she is going to pay. Parker walks up to Ferguson and slaps her in the face for using her as a puppet. Ferguson tells the women that they are stupid if they think that they are going to get away with this. Rita tells Ferguson that there are no screws around, no witnesses, and we can erase any CCTV footage before morning. You are fucked, Ferguson. The women start chanting and clapping for Rita. But then Reb Keane stands up and tells all the women that their so-called top dog is an undercover cop. Rita's face drops. The women call Reb's bluff, but Reb tells the women that Ferguson showed her Rita's file and that Rita has been an undercover cop all this time. Ferguson speaks up and confirms Reb's story and that the women are fools to trust Rita. And then Ferguson goes to make up some stories by saying that Rita has been lagging on all of them. The women soon start chanting traitor, 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 and Rita quickly tries to explain that she was only sent in to do a job on Mari Winter and that she has never ever lagged on the women. But the women grab Rita, and Reb orders the women to tie Rita up into a chair. Frankie and Ali are in shock. They don't know what to do. Rita pleads with the women, but nobody wants to listen, and some of the women spit at Rita, continuing to call her a traitor. Reb takes the keys off Rita and asks the women if they want to see a show between Governor Ferguson and Copper Connors. Reb turns to Ferguson and Rita and tells them that they are both going to be taken to the laundry, and the pair of them are going to fight to the death. The winner kills the loser, and the winner will walk free, but if the winner doesn't kill the loser, then they will both die. The women cheer. Frankie and Ali try to stop it, but Reb is now in control. Reb orders the women to grab Rita and Ferguson and to take them to the laundry. Ali runs to tell Bridget and Boomer what's happening, and Frankie tries to get Reb to stop the fight before it starts. As Ali is walking to the unit, mad Dr. Kate Peterson grabs Ali and takes her to the boiler room. Rita and Ferguson are untied and thrown into the laundry. The women scream at them for them to fight. Ferguson pulls out her black leather gloves and puts them on, and then Rita takes her first swing and punches Ferguson in the face. Ferguson fights back, and the pair of them end up in a fully blown fist fight, with all the women chanting. Frankie is trying to get through to the women, but with no success. Rita and Ferguson are throwing each other all over the laundry, punching, stamping and kicking. It's a fight scene like no other. With the fight going on, Kate Peterson has Ali alone in the boiler room. Ali manages to get off the Mad Doctor, but Kate chases her through the boiler room with a knife, creepily hunting Ali through the dark boiler room. Ali tries to hide, shaking and scared for her life. Kate is looking underneath some of the boilers looking for Ali, but with Kate's back turned, Ali manages to try and creep back to the door that they came through. But Kate Peterson jumps out of the shadows and dives on top of Ali like a crazy bear. Kate is holding the knife down towards Ali's throat, trying her hardest to push it down, but Ali is pushing the knife back with all her might. Ali is screaming, and the Mad Doctor is determined that she isn't going to get out of this one. Ali, with all her might, manages to roll Kate and ends up on top of her. Ali knees Kate between the legs and manages to get off her. Kate now blocking the doorway, and with Ali having nowhere else to run, Ali sees a spade in the corner and grabs it. She tells Kate to move from the door, otherwise she will hit her. Kate refuses and tells Ali that she needs to die after what she did to her son. Ali tells Kate that her son was a fucking crazy person who hurt and killed women, one of whom was pregnant. But then Kate runs at Ali, but Ali manages to hit Kate over the head, knocking her to the floor. Ali isn't sure whether if she's even killed Kate, as she just makes a run for it out of the boiler room. Ali is in the corridor shaking, realising that the fight between Rita and Ferguson is underway as she can hear the chants coming from the laundry. So Ali decides to hit the panic button. Bridget runs out to see what's happening, leaving Boomer in the cell. She finds Ali, and Ali tells Bridget what's happening, and then Ali runs over to the laundry. The fight has turned into a bloodbath. Ferguson and Rita are still going at it. The laundry is looking like a murder scene. Ali runs to the laundry, and with the panic alarm sounding, she tells the women that the police are on their way. Reb, in a little bit of a panic, decides she wants to make her escape, and Reb tells all the women to follow her. Ali and Frankie run into the laundry and stop what's left of the fight. Rita and Ferguson both collapse to the floor. Frankie and Ali take Rita arm in arm and walk her back to the unit where Boomer is. They leave Ferguson on the floor covered in blood. When they get back to the cell, Bridget is nowhere to be seen, so Rita is left with Boomer and Ali, and Frankie goes looking for Bridget. Bridget is in the staff room and she makes a phone call to Vera, but Vera's phone is on silent, and we see that Vera is currently in bed with Dr. Miller. So Bridget hangs up and then makes a phone call to Will, and he answers. Bridget tells Will that he needs to get to the prison quickly. The women have taken over the prison and she thinks Rita might be seriously hurt. Will says that he is on his way and hangs up. Bridget puts down the phone and then rings the police to tell them what's happening. And then she hangs up, but turns around to see that Ferguson is standing right behind her. Reb leads all the women to reception, telling them that she is going to open everything for them all to do a runner from the prison. Ali and Boomer go down to see what's happening, and they see that Reb is opening all the front gates. Ali and Boomer look at each other. Half of the women run out of the prison and make their escape, and half of them stay behind. Reb is gone. Even Cass Barker has made a run for it. Ali holds Boomer's hand and asks her, "What shall we do?" A battered Rita arrives behind them and asks what's going on. Ali says that the gates are open and now is our chance to make a run for it. Boomer isn't too sure, but then Ali says to her that this is our only chance. Between the three of us, we have over 20 years to serve. You have a baby on the way, Boomer. This is your chance to give the baby a good life. And Rita, you are now always going to be known as an undercover cop. You would be stupid not to make a run for it with us. The three of them hold hands. Boomer tells Ali that she doesn't think she can leave Frankie behind, but Ali tells Boomer that Frankie is with Bridget and they will both be fine together, and Frankie will want you to do this. So Rita, Boomer and Ali all make their escape from the prison. Frankie is running around the prison looking for Bridget. All the alarms are going off and she can't find her anywhere. Will turns up to the prison on his motorbike. He goes into the prison and sees the carnage everywhere. Most of the women are gone. He walks through the corridor and then he sees Frankie on the floor, crying, holding Bridget in her arms in the exact same spot where his wife was killed all those years ago. Bridget has been stabbed and Frankie is crying for help. Will walks over slowly, but then Frankie screams out. A fire extinguisher is smashed at the back of Will's head. A lifeless Will lays on the floor. A crazy Ferguson stands over him, covered in blood. Frankie jumps up and throws the injected blood into Ferguson. Ferguson throws Frankie back and Ferguson falls to the floor. She pulls the injection out of her neck, looks at Frankie. Frankie turns around and says, "Present from B." Ferguson lets out an almighty, horrifying scream that echoes through the prison. Frankie cradles a lifeless Bridget on the floor and Ferguson continues to scream out. Ali, Boomer and Rita are out of the prison. They take one last look back before they start hearing police sirens getting closer. They then turn around, continue to run off into the night. Is this the last we'll see of them?